The gold embossed envelope felt heavy in my hands, like it was made of lead instead of expensive paper. I didn't need to open it to know what was inside. The wedding invitation I'd been dreading for months. My sister Bella was finally getting her fairy tale, and I was expected to smile and pretend I hadn't noticed my bank account being drained to fund it. My name is Elizabeth, and I've spent 28 years being the family afterthought, the reliable one, the quiet one, the one who would understand when things didn't go my way because Bella needed something more. Did you get yours? Mom's voice chirped through my phone, not even bothering with hello. Isn't it absolutely gorgeous? The cardstock alone costs more than most people's entire invitation sets. Yes, I got it, I said, running my finger along the raised lettering. It's elaborate. Oh, don't sound so dull about it. This is your sister's special day. We're having brunch tomorrow to discuss the final arrangements. You'll be there, of course. It wasn't a question. With my mother, it never was. The next morning, I walked into my parents' favorite bistro to find them already seated with Bella, who was waving her left hand dramatically as she spoke to the waitress about her ring. Mom caught sight of me and waved me over, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. Elizabeth, darling, you're late, she said, checking her watch. We've already ordered mimosas. I slid into the empty chair. Sorry, I was actually at the bank this morning. There seems to be some kind of mistake with... Oh, speaking of money, Bella interrupted, clapping her hands together. Wait until you see what we've done with the venue. Daddy, tell her about the fountain. Dad cleared his throat, looking pleased with himself. We've commissioned an ice sculpture champagne fountain, top shelf stuff cascading down 12 tiers. The artist is flying in from Venice to install it personally. Venice? I felt my stomach tighten. That sounds expensive. Well, nothing but the best for our Bella, Mom beamed. And wait until you see the flowers. We've ordered 10,000 orchids. 10,000 imported orchids, Bella corrected, scrolling through photos on her phone, from Thailand. The florist says they've never done an installation this size before. My hands were shaking under the table. Mom, Dad, I really need to ask about my account. The inheritance from Grandma Lucy, it's gone, all of it. The bank says there were multiple large transfers over the past few months, but I never... Oh, honey, Mom waved her hand dismissively. Don't be so selfish. We needed it for the wedding and you weren't using it anyway. You're still living in that tiny apartment, working that little office job. Selfish? The word felt like a slap. That was my inheritance. Grandma left it to me specifically. And now it's being used for something beautiful, Bella exclaimed. Really, Elizabeth, you should be happy to contribute to my special day. It's not like you're getting married any time soon. Dad wouldn't meet my eyes, suddenly very interested in his coffee cup. Your mother and I made an executive decision. As your parents, we felt... You felt what? My voice was barely a whisper. That you had the right to steal from me. Steal? Mom laughed, high and brittle. Don't be so dramatic. We're family, and families support each other. Besides, it's done now. The contracts are signed. The vendors are paid. What's done is done. I looked around the table at my father's averted gaze, my mother's dismissive smile, my sister's entitled smirk, and something inside me finally snapped. Years of being overlooked, pushed aside, made small. It all crystallized in that moment. I see, I said quietly, standing up. Well, thank you for clarifying where I stand in this family. Oh, sit down, Mom sighed. You're making a scene. This is Bella's moment. Can't you just be happy for your sister? I grabbed my purse, my movements mechanical. I need to go. Elizabeth, Bella called after me as I walked away. Don't forget, the dress fitting is next week. You need to be there. Your bridesmaid dress is already paid for. I pushed through the restaurant doors into the bright morning sun, my grandmother's last words echoing in my head. Watch them closely, dear. Sometimes people show you exactly who they are, and sometimes they need a little help revealing themselves. I pulled out my phone and Googled Sullivan Kelly, attorney at law, Grandma Lucy's lawyer. She'd made me promise to keep his card, said I might need it someday. That day had finally come. My hands trembled as I spread the bank statements across my kitchen table. 6 months of systematic withdrawals, each one labeled as a family trust disbursement. The numbers made me sick. 50,000 here or 75,000 there. My entire future carved up and served like party favors at my sister's wedding. I can't believe they did this, Ariel said, peering over my shoulder at the documents. My best friend since third grade had rushed over the moment I called, bringing wine and her trademark brutal honesty. Actually, scratch that. I totally can believe it. Your mom's been playing favorites since we were kids. I took a long sip of wine. I kept telling myself I was imagining it, that I was being oversensitive. Girl, they stole almost $500,000 from you. That's not being oversensitive. That's being a victim of theft. My phone buzzed with another text from Bella. Don't forget to pick up your dress tomorrow and try to eat light. We ordered it in your usual size, but you know how these things run small. I should have seen this coming, I muttered, pushing the phone away. Grandma Lucy did. What do you mean? I walked to my bookshelf and pulled out an old photo album. Inside was a picture from my college graduation, me and Grandma Lucy, her arm around my shoulders, both of us beaming. Behind it was a business card I'd kept all these years. The last time I saw her, about a week before she passed, she made me promise to keep her lawyer's contact information, said something about watching the family closely even after she was gone. I traced the embossed letters on the card. Sullivan Kelly, estate attorney. Ariel sat up straighter. Your grandmother was sharp as a tack right up until the end. If she gave you that card, she had a reason. She also said something else that day. I closed my eyes, remembering. She said, some people think money is power, dear, but knowledge is everything. Call him, Ariel said firmly, right now. Your grandmother was a businesswoman who built her own empire from nothing. She wouldn't have left her estate vulnerable to your mother's schemes. I glanced at the clock. 9:45 p.m. Too late to call a lawyer's office. But I could send an email. My fingers flew over the keyboard as I composed a message explaining who I was and what had happened. The response came faster than I expected, just minutes later. Miss Elizabeth, I've been expecting your contact. Please come to my office tomorrow at 10 a.m. There are matters regarding your grandmother's estate that require immediate attention. S. Kelly. He's been expecting me? I showed Ariel the email. What does that mean? It means your grandmother was a genius. Ariel grinned. Get some sleep. Tomorrow might be interesting. The next morning I sat in Sullivan Kelly's office, surrounded by dark wood paneling and leather-bound law books. He was exactly as I remembered from the will reading, tall, silver-haired, with reading glasses perched on his nose. Your grandmother, he said, pulling out a thick file, was very specific about certain possibilities that might arise after her passing. She asked me to monitor the trust accounts carefully. So you knew? My voice cracked. You knew they were taking my money? I knew the moment the first transfer was initiated. He held up his hand as I started to protest. And I was legally bound by your grandmother's instructions to wait for you to contact me before proceeding. Proceeding with what? Sullivan opened the file and removed a sealed envelope. This is a codicil to your grandmother's will. It could only be revealed under very specific circumstances, circumstances that have now been met. My hands shook as I took the envelope. Inside was a single page of legal text with my grandmother's familiar signature at the bottom. As I read, my eyes widened. Is this real? I whispered. Can she really do this? Your grandmother was very thorough in her legal preparations. Sullivan's expression remained neutral, but I caught a glint in his eye. The question isn't whether it can be done, but whether you want to do it. I read the document again, my mind racing with possibilities. This wasn't just protection, it was a precision-guided missile aimed at my family's betrayal. There is, however, a time factor to consider, Sullivan added. This codicil must be executed during the event itself, or it becomes void. You have until your sister's wedding day to decide. I folded the paper carefully, my grandmother's final words making perfect sense now. Knowledge truly was everything, and she'd given me exactly the knowledge I needed. What do I need to do? I asked. Sullivan reached for another file. First, we document everything, then we wait for the perfect moment. Your grandmother was very clear. If revenge is to be served, it should be served ice cold, I finished, remembering her favorite saying. He nodded. Exactly. The codicil is quite straightforward, Sullivan said, spreading documents across his mahogany desk. Your grandmother anticipated that your mother might attempt to redirect your inheritance to Bella. She built in a trigger clause, a legal trapdoor, if you will. I leaned forward, scanning the papers. What kind of trapdoor? If your inheritance was misappropriated for Bella's benefit, particularly for her wedding, all assets originally marked for you automatically convert to a new trust, one that gives you complete control. He adjusted his glasses. But there's more. More? The clause extends beyond just your inheritance. It includes a provision to claim any assets purchased with those misappropriated funds. Sullivan's voice remained steady, but I caught the slight curl of his lip. Everything, the venue, the decorations, the catering, all of it would legally become yours. My mouth went dry. You mean you could shut it down mid-ceremony if you chose to? He pulled out another document. Your grandmother was very specific about the timing. The clause must be activated while the event is in progress, while the money is actively being spent. That seems almost cruel, I whispered. Your grandmother's exact words were, let them build their castle on Elizabeth's foundation, then let them watch it crumble. Sullivan leaned back in his chair. She knew your mother well. A memory flashed. Grandma Lucy at Christmas dinner 2 years ago, watching Mom fawn over Bella's new car while I got a department store sweater. The way she'd squeeze my hand under the table, her eyes sharp with understanding. There are consequences to consider, Sullivan continued. This would create a very public scene. Family relationships might be permanently damaged. I laughed, the sound bitter even to my own ears. What relationships? They stole my future without a second thought. True, but revenge has its own price. He handed me a pen. The choice is yours. We can proceed with standard legal action to recover the funds, or I can let them dig their own grave. I studied the pen. How much time do I have to decide? The wedding is in 3 weeks. We'll need at least a week to prepare the paperwork and coordinate with law enforcement for the service of documents. He checked his calendar. So, 2 weeks. My phone buzzed. Another text from Mom. Bella's having a meltdown about the table settings. Need you to help calm her down. Come over now. What happens if I sign? I asked, ignoring the message. I prepare everything. On the wedding day, I arrive with the documents and local law enforcement as witnesses. We can time it however you want, during the ceremony, the reception, the first dance. He shrugged. Your grandmother was quite theatrical in her planning. And they can't fight it? The legal language is ironclad. Your mother and father signed agreements acknowledging the terms when they accepted their roles as trust administrators. They just never bothered to read the fine print. Sullivan's smile was razor thin. Your grandmother counted on their arrogance. Another text buzzed. Elizabeth, answer your mother. This is Bella's special time. I picked up the pen. What would you do if you were me? Sullivan was quiet for a moment. I worked with your grandmother for 30 years. She was a woman who believed in justice, but also in lessons. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their actions. I signed my name with steady hands. Very well. Sullivan gathered the papers. I'll begin preparations. Remember, you can't tell anyone about this. The element of surprise is crucial. What do I do until then? Play your part. Attend the dress fittings. Smile at the brunches. Let them think everything is fine. He stood extending his hand. And remember, the moment you give the signal on the wedding day, there's no turning back. I shook his hand, feeling strangely calm. I understand. As I turned to leave, he called after me. Elizabeth, your grandmother left one more thing for you. He handed me an envelope. She said to give it to you only if you signed. Inside was a single photograph, me at age 6, sitting on Grandma Lucy's lap while she read me a story. On the back, in her elegant handwriting, power isn't about having the biggest voice in the room, dear one. It's about knowing when to use your voice at all. My phone buzzed again. Mom, if you don't show up in the next hour, you're out of the wedding party. Don't ruin this for your sister. I texted back, on my way. Sorry, was in a meeting. Can't wait to help with whatever Bella needs. Sullivan nodded approvingly. Perfect. Let them think they've won. The best revenge is the one they never see coming, I finished, tucking the photo into my purse. Time to go play my part. Stand still, Elizabeth, Mom snapped as the seamstress pinned my bridesmaid dress. Honestly, you're fidgeting like a child. We were at the final dress fitting, surrounded by mirrors and champagne flutes. Bella twirled in her designer gown, its 20-foot train sweeping across the boutique floor. The price tag dangled from one sleeve, more than my annual salary. My salary, not my inheritance. The dress is a bit tight in the hips, the seamstress murmured, tugging at the fabric. Bella paused, her twirling. Well, I told you to watch what you eat, Elizabeth. Good thing we ordered it with extra seam allowance. She turned to Mom. Did you confirm the doves for the ceremony? 50 pure white doves, Mom beamed. They'll be released just as you say I do. I forced myself to smile. 50. That sounds expensive. Oh, don't start. Bella rolled her eyes. Just because you live like a church mouse doesn't mean my wedding has to be boring. Wait until you see what Daddy arranged for the entrance. What entrance? I'm arriving by helicopter. She clapped her hands. It'll land right on the estate lawn. The guests will all be waiting, and then, whoosh, like a fairy tale. My stomach churned. I remembered Grandma Lucy's words about helicopters. Only people with more money than sense need to fly to their own front door. Speaking of guests, Mom interjected, have you finished the place cards, Elizabeth? It's the one task we gave you. Almost done, I lied, knowing they'd never see those place cards, just double-checking spellings. Well, hurry up, and make sure you get Jonah's family at the prime tables. His father's firm might be merging with Daddy's company. Bella preened in the mirror. This wedding is about more than just love, you know. It's about connections. The seamstress pricked me with a pin, and I flinched. Sorry, she whispered. It's fine, I said, catching her eye in the mirror. Sometimes a little pain is necessary. Mom's phone chimed. Oh, the florist sent preview photos of the orchid arrangements. Come look. I stepped down from the platform, careful of the pins, and peered at her screen. Thousands of white orchids arranged in towering displays, each one purchased with my stolen future. We're having them flown in the morning of the wedding, Bella explained. The florist says they're the most delicate blooms he's ever worked with. 1 degree too warm and they'll wilt. How fascinating, I murmured, snapping a mental picture of the florist's name and details. Sullivan would want to know about all the vendors. Elizabeth, you could at least pretend to be excited, Mom sighed. This is your sister's perfect day. Perfect! The word echoed in my head as I watched Bella practice her walk. Her reflection multiplied infinitely in the boutique's mirrors. Each reflection showed the same thing, my sister, glowing with entitlement, while our mother gazed at her like she was the sun itself. Oh, Bella suddenly exclaimed, I almost forgot to tell you about the cake. 6 tiers, hand-painted with gold leaf. The baker's flying in from Paris. Paris? I couldn't help asking. For a cake? Well, we couldn't trust some local baker, Mom scoffed. This is an international event. People will be talking about this wedding for years. If only they knew how right they were. And the ice sculpture champagne fountain, Bella continued. The artist sent the final designs. It's going to be massive, like Niagara Falls, but with crystal. I pulled out my phone, pretending to check messages while secretly recording her detailed description of every expensive element. Sullivan had been clear. We needed proof of how every dollar was spent. Elizabeth, Mom snapped, put that phone away and pay attention. We need to discuss the schedule for the day. The hair team arrives at 5 a.m. I nodded along as she outlined the military precision timeline, noting each vendor, each delivery, each carefully orchestrated moment. Every detail they shared was another nail in their own coffin. It's going to be perfect, Bella sighed dreamily, like a fairy tale come true. I thought of the codicil waiting in Sullivan's office, ready to shatter their fairy tale into 1,000 expensive pieces. Yes, I agreed softly, it's going to be unforgettable. Mom narrowed her eyes at my tone, but before she could speak, Bella called for help with her veil. Coming, darling. Mom rushed to assist, leaving me alone by the mirrors. I studied my reflection, wondering if they could see the change in me. The quiet daughter, the reliable sister, the one who always understood, she was gone. In her place stood someone else, someone with a plan, someone with power, someone who was done understanding. The wedding day dawned bright and clear. I watched from the bridal suite window as an army of workers transformed the estate grounds into Bella's fantasy. The helicopter pad was marked out on the lawn. Trucks unloaded crates of orchids. The ice sculpture artists assembled their masterpiece, all paid for with my money, for now. Elizabeth, Mom burst in, already dressed in her mother-of-the-bride couture. Why aren't you in hair and makeup yet? The photographers are starting in 20 minutes. I turned from the window, the weight of Sullivan's business card heavy in my clutch, just taking it all in. Well, take it in faster. Bella needs her emotional support mimosa, and you're the only one who knows how she likes them mixed. I followed Mom down the marble hallway to Bella's suite, where chaos reigned. 3 makeup artists, 2 hairstylists, and a dress assistant buzzed around my sister like worker bees around their queen. Finally, Bella exclaimed, I need my mimosa. 3 parts champagne, 1 part juice, exactly 2 ice cubes. As I mixed her drink, my phone vibrated. A text from Sullivan. In position, awaiting your signal. The photographer wants shots of us getting ready, Mom announced. Elizabeth, fix your face. You look intense. I forced my features into pleasant neutrality as the photographer circled us, capturing candid moments of sisterly bonding. Each click of his camera documented evidence of how my inheritance had been spent. The florists are ready for the orchid installation, an event coordinator announced from the doorway, and the ice sculpture team needs approval on the champagne positioning. I'll handle it, Mom declared. Elizabeth, stay with your sister. Make sure she's calm and happy. Once Mom left, Bella grabbed my arm. I need you to check on Jonah. Make sure he's not getting cold feet. What? He's been weird lately, ever since he saw the final budget numbers. She sipped her mimosa. Just make sure he's still in his suite. I found Jonah in the groom's quarters, staring out the window at the growing spectacle below. He turned when I entered, his expression troubled. Elizabeth, good. Maybe you can explain something to me. He held up a paper. I just saw the final cost breakdown. Please tell me these numbers are a mistake. I glanced at the document, a detailed spreadsheet of wedding expenses. No mistake. $500,000 for one day? He ran a hand through his hair. This is insane. My firm's merger with your father's company wasn't supposed to start like this, with debt and... Debt? I interrupted. What debt? Your parents mortgaged their house to cover some of the costs. Bella doesn't know. He laughed bitterly. I'm marrying into a family that spends money like water, and I'm just supposed to smile about it? I checked my phone. Another text from Sullivan. Documents ready. Police witnesses in place. Await your word. The next hours passed in a blur of photographs, touch-ups, and last-minute crises. Before I knew it, we were lining up for the ceremony. Guests filled the garden chairs. The doves waited in their release cages. The helicopter's distant thrum grew closer. Places, everyone, the wedding planner called. Helicopter landing in 2 minutes. I watched the guests' faces as the chopper descended, whipping the orchid arrangements into a frenzy of white petals. Bella emerged like a movie star, our father helping her down as cameras flashed. The ceremony began. I stood in my designated spot, clutching my bouquet as the officiant spoke about love and trust and family bonds. If anyone has reason why these two should not be joined, the officiant began the traditional words. My phone felt like it was burning in my hidden pocket. One text would set everything in motion. One word would bring it all crashing down. I looked at my sister's face, radiant with joy and entitlement, at my mother, dabbing proud tears, at my father, standing tall despite the mortgage he'd hidden from everyone, at Jonah, whose forced smile didn't reach his eyes. The moment stretched like pulled taffy. The audience held their breath through the silence. I reached for my phone. Send! I typed and pressed enter. The garden gates opened. Sullivan walked in, flanked by 2 police officers and a court clerk. He carried a leather portfolio I recognized from his office. Mom saw him first. The color drained from her face. I apologize for the interruption. Sullivan's voice carried across the garden, but I have legal documents that must be served immediately. Bella turned from the altar. What's happening? Elizabeth, what's going on? I stepped forward, finally letting my pleasant mask fall away. What's happening, dear sister, is that Grandma Lucy's final gift to me is about to be opened. The doves rustled in their cages, waiting for a release that would never come. Please proceed, Mr. Sullivan, I said, my voice carrying across the suddenly silent garden. Sullivan cleared his throat. By order of the county court, I am here to execute a codicil to the last will and testament of Lucy May regarding the misappropriation of designated inheritance funds. Stop this at once! Mom stood up, her face flushed. This is my daughter's wedding. A wedding? Sullivan continued, unruffled. That was funded through the illegal transfer of Miss Elizabeth's inheritance. The codicil states clearly that in such an event, all assets purchased with these funds revert immediately to her possession. Bella's bouquet slipped from her hands. What is he talking about? It means, I stepped forward, that everything here, the flowers, the venue rental, the helicopter, the fountain, legally belongs to me now. All of it. That's ridiculous, Dad sputtered. We're her parents. We had every right. Actually, Sullivan interrupted, you didn't, and the documents you signed as trust administrators prove you knew that. He nodded to the court's clerk, who began distributing papers. These are cease and desist orders for all vendors. The event is officially terminated. The wedding planner rushed forward, phone in hand. But the orchids, the ice sculpture, the doves! All paid for with stolen money, I said. All mine now. Jonah stepped away from the altar, loosening his tie. So this whole spectacle was funded with theft? Perfect, just perfect. He turned to Bella. Did you know about this? Of course she knew, I answered before she could speak. She knew every time she picked something outrageously expensive, every time she demanded more, every time she smiled while our parents drained my future into her fairy tale. Elizabeth, Mom's voice turned pleading, surely we can discuss this like family. Family? I laughed. You want to talk about family now, after you stole $500,000 from me? After you mortgaged your house to pay for more extravagance? Bella's head snapped toward our parents. You did what? The house's mortgage? Jonah's face hardened. So not only did you steal from your daughter, you're basically bankrupt. The guests began to murmur, phones appearing to capture the drama. Mom's carefully curated society friends whispered behind their hands. Dad's business associates exchanged knowing looks. The vendors have been notified, Sullivan announced. They're required by law to cease all services immediately. As if on cue, the champagne fountain sputtered and died. The event staff began packing up equipment. The dove handler quietly wheeled his cages toward the exit. You can't do this, Bella screamed, her mascara running. This is my wedding, my perfect day. Your perfect day, I said quietly, built on my stolen dreams. Jonah pulled off his bow tie completely. I can't be part of this. The merger, the wedding, all of it. It's over. He walked down the aisle, pausing beside me. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Wait! Bella ran after him, tripping on her train. Jonah, please, we can explain. Explain what? He turned back. How you let your family commit fraud to fund this circus? How you knew they stole from your sister and didn't care? How you were fine with them mortgaging their future too? He shook his head. I wanted a wife, Bella, not a financial liability. Mom sank into her chair, her perfect makeup cracking as tears fell. Dad stood frozen, watching his business associates file out, phones already to their ears. The police will need statements, Sullivan said professionally, and the court will require a full accounting of all expenditures. Elizabeth, Dad finally spoke, his voice broken, please, we can work something out. I pulled Grandma Lucy's photo from my clutch, the one of us reading together. You know what she told me in this picture? That real love doesn't take, it gives. I met his eyes. You never learned that lesson, so she made sure I could teach it to you. The garden was nearly empty now. The flowers wilted in the sun. The ice sculpture melted, dripping expensive champagne onto the grass. Bella sat on the altar steps, her fairy tale dissolving around her. What happens now? Mom whispered. Now? I smiled, channeling Grandma Lucy's steel. Now you learn what it feels like to have your future stolen. The police want to discuss criminal charges. The bank wants to discuss the mortgage. And I want to discuss how it feels to watch everything you took from me disappear in an instant. Sullivan touched my elbow. The officers are ready for statements. I nodded, turning away from my family's shocked faces. Behind me, I heard Bella's sob, Mom's quiet weeping, Dad's heavy sigh. But I didn't look back. Grandma Lucy was right. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their actions. And sometimes revenge tastes better than wedding cake. The aftermath hit like a tsunami. Local news stations ran the story for weeks. Wedding day revenge, heiress reclaims stolen fortune. My phone filled with messages from distant relatives and forgotten friends, all suddenly eager to hear my side. I ignored them all. You haven't touched your coffee, Ariel said, watching me stare out the cafe window. A month had passed since the wedding that wasn't. Are you still processing? Just tired. The legal meetings are endless. I pushed the cup away. Mom tried to corner me outside the courthouse yesterday. What did she want? What they all want, to explain, to justify. I shrugged. She said they never meant to hurt me. Right, they just meant to steal your money and hope you wouldn't notice. Ariel's phone buzzed. Oh, wow. Have you seen this? She showed me a social media post from Bella. Sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones who should love you best, learning hard lessons about trust and family. Beautiful disaster, you starting over. She's been posting stuff like that for weeks, I said, playing victim while conveniently forgetting she helped steal my inheritance. The bell above the cafe door chimed. I looked up to see Jonah walk in. He froze when he saw me, then squared his shoulders and approached our table. Elizabeth, I was hoping I'd run into you eventually. Really? I gestured to the empty chair. Sit. You look like you have something to say. He sat, running a hand through his disheveled hair. The polished groom was gone, replaced by someone more real, more worn. I wanted to apologize properly, he said. I knew something wasn't right with the wedding expenses, but I convinced myself it wasn't my business. Why are you telling me this now? Because I'm meeting with the merger investigators tomorrow. They want to know if I was involved in any financial misconduct. He laughed bitterly. Your father's company is imploding. The audit revealed the years of creative accounting. Ariel whistled low. Karma's really going for gold here. Have you heard from Bella? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Not since I returned the ring. She's too busy posting inspirational quotes about rising from ashes. He stood up. Anyway, I just wanted you to know. You did the right thing. That family needed a wake-up call. After he left, Ariel squeezed my hand. You okay? I need to see Sullivan, I said suddenly. There's something I need to ask him. At his office, Sullivan was reviewing the latest court documents. He looked up when I entered. Elizabeth, I was about to call you. The final asset seizure reports are in. That's not why I'm here. I sat down. I need to know. Did Grandma Lucy leave anything else? Any message about what to do after? Sullivan opened his desk drawer and pulled out an envelope. She said to give you this once everything was done. I've been waiting for the right moment. The envelope contained a single sheet of paper, covered in my grandmother's elegant handwriting. My dearest Elizabeth, if you're reading this, then you've done what I couldn't. You've shown them that actions have consequences. But revenge, even justified, leaves marks on the soul. The question now isn't what they deserve, but what you need. Remember, power isn't just about winning. Sometimes it's about knowing when to stop. All my love, Grandma Lucy. She knew, I whispered. She knew I'd be struggling with what comes next. Your grandmother was wise, Sullivan said. She understood that revenge satisfies justice, but healing requires more. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. The house goes up for sale next week. Your mother's not handling it well. I know we don't deserve it, but please, she needs her daughter. They're losing everything, I said quietly. Thanks to their own choices, Sullivan reminded me. The question is, what will you do with that knowledge? I thought about Mom, who'd always cared more about appearances than hearts. About Dad, who'd chosen the path of least resistance until it led him off a cliff. About Bella, whose perfect life had shattered like the ice sculpture at her wedding. I need a favor, I told Sullivan. One last legal document. He raised an eyebrow. What kind? Something that proves I'm better than they thought I was. I straightened in my chair. Something that shows I learned the right lessons from Grandma Lucy. Sullivan smiled, understanding dawning in his eyes. I'll draw up the papers immediately. I pulled out my phone and typed a response to Dad. Meet me tomorrow. Bring Mom. We need to talk about second chances. Ariel would probably say I was being too soft, but Grandma Lucy's letter was right. Power isn't just about winning. Sometimes it's about being strong enough to help others lose with dignity. The small cafe felt different from the trendy bistros my family used to frequent. Mom kept fidgeting with her non-designer purse while Dad stared into his basic coffee like it held answers. The house sold yesterday, Dad said quietly. Below asking, but at least it's done. I nodded, sliding an envelope across the table. Here's what I'm proposing. Their hands shook as they read Sullivan's document. Mom's eyes widened. A rental agreement? She whispered. You're offering us the condo? The one Grandma Lucy left me downtown. It's smaller than your house, but it's paid for. I kept my voice steady. The rent will be fair market value, no special treatment. You'll need to find jobs, stick to a budget. Why? Dad's voice cracked. After everything we did, because Grandma Lucy taught me that money isn't just about power, it's about choices. I met their eyes. I'm choosing to give you a chance to rebuild, not for free, not without conditions, but with dignity. Mom started to reach for my hand, then stopped herself. And Bella? Bella needs to find her own way. She's staying with her friend in the city, working as a receptionist. I sipped my tea. She's learning what it means to earn things instead of taking them. We failed you both, Dad said. We taught all the wrong lessons. Yes, you did, but Grandma Lucy taught me the right ones. I pulled out her photo, the one from my childhood. She showed me that real strength isn't in what you can take from others. It's in what you choose to give back. Lucy always was the wisest of us. Mom smiled sadly. I was so jealous of how she connected with you. I let that jealousy poison everything. The lease starts next month, I said, pushing past the emotion in her voice. Sullivan will handle the paperwork. There are conditions, financial counseling, regular check-ins, complete transparency. They nodded, understanding the gift wasn't unconditional forgiveness, but a chance to earn trust back. What about holidays? Mom asked hesitantly. Will we ever? Let's start with coffee, I said. Monthly. We'll see how it goes. The bell above the cafe door chimed. Bella walked in looking different in her simple work clothes. She paused when she saw us, then squared her shoulders and approached. Elizabeth, I didn't know you'd be here. Sit, I said. You should hear this too. She sat, maintaining a careful distance. The entitled princess was gone, replaced by someone learning humility the hard way. I've been seeing a therapist, she said abruptly. She's helping me understand things about who I was, who I want to be. Good. I pushed a second envelope toward her. Then you'll understand why this matters. She opened it, reading quickly. A loan agreement? To help you get started in your own place. Regular payments, market interest rate. I watched her face carefully. It's not a gift. It's an opportunity to prove you've changed. Tears filled her eyes, but she blinked them back. Thank you for not giving up on me completely. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when you've earned back trust. All of you. I stood up, gathering my things. Sullivan will contact you about the paperwork. Elizabeth, Dad called as I turned to leave. Your grandmother would be proud. I paused at the door, thinking of Grandma Lucy's final letter, about power and choices and healing. She'd be proud if we all learned from this, I said. If we build something better from the ashes of what burned. Walking out into the sunshine, I pulled out my phone to text Ariel. It's done. Gave them the chance to rebuild. Her response came quickly. You're a better person than me, but maybe that's why your grandmother trusted you with this power in the first place. I smiled, tucking the phone away. The revenge had been satisfying, but this felt like something more, something healing. At the corner, I passed a wedding boutique. In the window, a sign advertised fairy tale weddings. I thought of Bella's ruined spectacle, of all the stolen dreams and shattered illusions. But fairy tales weren't about perfect endings. They were about learning hard lessons, facing consequences, and emerging stronger. I touched Grandma Lucy's photo in my pocket and walked on, leaving the boutique behind. Some dreams weren't meant to be built on stolen foundations. Some had to be earned, one honest brick at a time. And sometimes the happiest endings came not from revenge, but from the wisdom to know when to put it aside.